Welcome back to Piney Grove, folks. I'm Brad.
I'm Deb.
It is January 1st, 2022, so Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
We're trying to get the fence fabric, the wire, attached to the post today. We got a limited window of time. We burned up a little time dealing with a contractor this morning, getting some things straight. So we probably got about 3 hours max to do this, so we're gonna see how much we can get done. All the posts are set, all the H-braces are done. I got the tractor out, and I've got a metal pipe to put inside of the wire, and it'll be the first time we've ever done this before, but we're gonna run a chain through that metal pipe, and that's gonna suspend the wire from the tractor bucket, and we're gonna pull the wire off from there when we gotta go around trees, and otherwise we're just gonna back the tractor up. We've never done that before. When we did our front fence line, we just rolled the wire and kicked it, you know, like I don't know, like Mario Brothers or something. You just roll the wire, but we're gonna try this method. I'd seen it on a tractor forum or something before, so we're gonna try it, and that's what we're gonna do today. Excuse the audio throughout the work process. This will probably be the best audio of this video as this beginning. We're just not gonna be able to wear the mic while we're doing that.
I think we're gonna finish. I think we're gonna finish. I think we're gonna at least get it all tacked up. Maybe it'll need to be additional tacked, but I think we're gonna get it done.
Yeah, I guess what she's talking about is that we'll get it leaned against the post and we'll put some of the staples in, but we won't put all the final 12 staples per post because we'll want a staple in each web of wire to keep it nice and tight. The stretching takes time with the come along, the hooking, the stretcher, the board with the metal bar on it and the bolts, that takes time. So I don't know. We got a hard stop probably at 3 o'clock or maybe even a little bit before that. So stay tuned. That's what we're up to today.
I have high hopes for this method.
Okay, so if we start at that end and we go that way, that'll put the red towards the neighbor's pasture, and that way we just stand the fence up against the post. So I think it'll work. We'll see.
Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. That looks promising. Oh, that's neato pedo.
So we're gonna strip some of this wire off here. We want enough wire to go all the way around the post. In the past, I've relied on staples to be my anchor. And staples will slip a little bit and let your fence get loose. So I'm actually going to strip enough of this wire, hopefully I can do it, so I can go all the way around the post. Just for my starter, this spiral right here is usually down here as well on every link. But on this sheep and goat, they've done a different type of way to fasten that. Now I probably could cut each one of these, but that would take way too much time for what it's worth.
Okay, the sticky corner, or briars and all things that will stick you. But so it begins. What would a project be without Bella and Lily? Boring, that's what it would be.
Okay, so what I wanted to do originally was strip enough of this wire so I could go all the way around the post and tie it to itself. But I couldn't strip it, so I'm going to put a staple in every one of these and bend them over and then I'll go around the other side and staple that as well. This is my anchor point, so I need this to be completely stable so I can do the wire stretching and pulling. I'm going to try and get this straight up the post. So Deb, help me on that. Make sure that stays in the same relative position going up the post.
Okay. Deb's a bit crooked-eyed though.
So what I did there is I put a staple in every single one and then bent the wire over. It was the best way to do it, considering I couldn't wrap the wire all the way around. But that side's fastened, so now we're going to run the wire out all 330 feet, hook to the end of it and stretch it, and then come back and staple a little bit. We're not going to staple it all off today. All right, folks, there it is in motion. It's working pretty good.
Much more effective than I am. I was trying to get close and I got too close and then I got too far. There's first H brace right there. That is much quicker than kicking it down, or much easier, I guess. Kicking it down the fence wire went actually pretty well, but this is a lot less strenuous for sure. Oh, look at that. It's the end of the roll. There you go.
So you'll notice that the land is uneven, so the fence was binding against the side of the chain as it was rolling. So I lengthened this side of the chain to bring this side down, and it made the wire more level with the ground, and it came off a lot easier. I didn't notice that earlier, but I'd say all in all, it was a success. It's a lot easier than kicking that up a hill. And it's really not that hard for two people. I mean, Deb weighs about as much as a small sheepdog, soaking wet. So her kicks aren't very effective. But
oh, my kicks are effective.
Yeah, but my point is that it doesn't take a lot to move this wire, and that's the way we've done it in the past. But
yep, this
was certainly easier this way.
Yep. Fence stretcher isn't a complex tool, but it is effective.
So they make these fence stretchers where you put metal shims in instead of these carriage bolts. But when we walked into Tractor Supply to buy this one, this is the one that they had. Now, one thing we learned is when you put your fence stretcher on, to make sure the wires are even, because when you pull it, you want to pull the wires even, or else your top wires will get stretched more than your bottom or your middle wires. This is much easier to do when the wire is vertical, but while it's being held by the tractor, I'm going to do it this way. All right, so you want to keep the same distance all along there. So we'll push that a little bit, and then that way your wire will stretch tight and even all the way down. If this wire is this way, then your fence will end up leaning, or at least your squares will. You'll still get a fairly tight fence, but some of your squares won't be perfectly straight up and down, vertically or horizontally. They'll kind of be stretched.
And every time you walk around and see it, it'll bug you.
And every time Deb walks around, she'll say, I wish you had stretched that fence correctly.
Yep, Deb's the picky one here.
Nope.
Nope, she's not. Deb would be grateful for the fence, but Bradford, it would bug him every single time he looked at it.
There are quicker fence stretchers, but this is the one that we have.
The fence stretcher is hooked to the fence. Pretty soon we will be stretching. Tighten it up and then put the brakes on the tractor when it's tight, and then it'll start to come along. Oh, there she goes. Look at that. Got a little bit of tension.
All right, so these staples will probably pull out, but what they're here for is just to keep the fence vertical, because it's laying down, it's far away from the post, and there's only 2 of us. I can stretch it that much until it hits this, and if it stretches past that, it'll just knock that staple out, and we'll find it on the ground. So we're on day 7, and like anything else it seems like you do, the prep work, like painting your kitchen, it takes 3 days to prep it and 1 day to paint it. We already got 100 feet of fence up.
Yeah, this is my favorite part of fencing. Seeing the actual wire go up. It's very satisfying.
I had to get Deb involved. She was just sitting there with the camera and let me do all the work. So she's working now. I got it.
I've been working. It just only takes one person to put in one tack every other pole. And now I question whether he really needs me to hold this up or he's giving me busy work. Okay, he really needs me to hold it up.
All right, there's 330 feet of fence up intact. Now we're going to stretch it.
Oh, this is the fun part. This is super cool to watch. Well, I guess I'm easily amused.
Set the tractor brake.
Set the tractor brake, yep. Here we go.
It's already binding on these staples. Move these staples over.
So he's moving the staples so we can stretch some more versus them just popping off. It got a lot tighter with that second pull, but it started binding up here, and where we thought the staple would pop out, it just started shifting the whole wire. Bradford's back at the tractor, back at the come along, and do another pull. So Brad's readjusting the little tacks we got in to hold the fence upright. And there's the tractor and the come along fence puller. Hasn't been that long that we've been doing this. We're going to fill in metal posts in between the wood posts, but for now this will allow the neighbor to get his horses back in here once we finish. One more pole. So again, it's not all tacked in. This is just temporary tacking to stretch the wire. but it's upright and it's pretty tight. We need to kick in the bottom, tack in the bottom. Yep, look at it go. You can see her moving. Every pull of that come along. It's funny because when you stand back, you really can't see it that much, and you know it's moving because he keeps moving the staples, as you can see from the holes in the posts. But look at that. Tighter and tighter. Hi, Lilybell. So from this perspective, you can see the how much tighter the fence is all the way down. Maybe one more pull and she might be tight enough to go ahead and tack her down. Okay, here comes Bradford. Let's see if this is going to be the final pull for this. He moved a couple of the staples on a couple of the posts.
Pulling the H-brace.
It's pulling the H-brace?
H-brace. Well, I mean, that's a lot of fence to be pulling it. All right, folks, we're trying to stretch 330 feet of fence here. It's moving the tractor a little bit. I've got the bucket down against the ground. I got the brakes locked on the tractor, but you can hear the tractor creaking a little bit when I'm moving the come along. We've got it really, really tight, like this first 150 feet or so. And then it's pretty tight the rest of the way, but there's no way I'm gonna get it this tight all the way without moving the stretcher about halfway down, re-stretching the first half. But this is my anchor point here. I can't really anchor it to just a line post. If I anchor it to a line post, it'll just bend that post over. So this is my H-brace. There's my alligator mouth going that way, or my Pac-Man mouth going that way. So I gotta staple it off here. I'm gonna walk down and do one final check, but I did about 6 clicks on the come along. I can feel it starting to get really, really tight. I think we're gonna call it a day on the stretching. Do one final check. So it's actually pulling the H-brace this way, which it's going to happen in a hole that you hand pack that's not cemented in, so it's never going to be perfect. I'd like it to be tighter down there, but I just think the more that I pull it, the more that it's going to pull the H-brace. I just think the juice isn't worth the squeeze if we just keep applying more tension. I don't think we're going to gain that much more. So I've just got to fix this bottom where it's hitting the roots down here, and then I think I'm going to tack it up here to the H-brace and then tack it all the way down. So we had to take an axe and go down the fence line and kind of hit the little stumps that we didn't want to dig out with the excavator and create a mess. It's 80-some degrees, it's humid, January 1st. It just took a lot out of me swinging that axe. It's nice when you hit a root and it goes right through it. You hit the other side, it goes right through it, and you take out a chunk, but these oak roots were bouncing. Just wore me out. We're gonna call this good. We're gonna call this tight enough and go ahead and staple it off here at the H-brace.
That side of the H-brace is all tacked in. This side of the H-brace will be all tacked in pretty soon.
So I'm putting a staple everywhere this wire crosses over. The horizontal wires cross over the vertical wire. Putting a staple in every one. That'll keep it tight between the two posts, but it'll also maintain the tension that we've established in the fence line. Be glad when it's done. I'm already tired.
So this is the very end of the fence where we started. You can see the fence tightened up well that whole run. But because we wrapped the wire around that end post, putting all the tension caused that end post to want to rotate. Nope, not gonna finish today, but still very good progress. So there's one roll of sheep and goat wire fence pulled.
330 feet.
330 feet pulled and tacked. Not completely, but enough to keep the tension on the wire. See what happens when he releases the tension on that. So it looks good. Is it tight from the H-brace back?
Yeah, it is. I mean, obviously it's loose here. There's nothing holding it.
Roll number 2.
We don't have time to get this completely stretched, but we can fasten the two wires together and then roll it out and then determine how much we need from a third roll not today, but later, cut that and then piece all that together and then stretch it all into the woods that way.
There's the H-brace. And there goes Bradford with roll number 2. And Lily's wondering why she can't come over to our house anymore. That was the way she used to come. Now it's fenced, so she's a little bit confused. And now she's back on our property.
We're going to join these 2 pieces of wire, so I'm going to go ahead and just cut every one of these off here to give me a nice long piece of wire to work with. So I don't know the exact correct way to do this, but I'm going to take every one of these wires and I'm going to join these 2 vertical wires as close together as possible. And that way when the fence is pulled, it'll be just like it's one wire, continuous.
Bradford has been diligently working on splicing these 2 spools of wire together. The sun was out when he started. The sun is no longer out. But by golly, that's going to be one strong wire connection. You got any good words there, Bradford?
So like everything in these videos, it takes longer than you think, but I really wanted these to be wrapped securely, and I'll finish them up so these little tag ends aren't sharp and catching on things, but I'll do that later. We want to roll this out and get out of here. But these interior wires are kind of thin and you can manipulate them fairly easy, but the top wire and the bottom wire are really thick gauge, and they're tough. They're tough to bend. They're tough to get that perfect circle in. So it's taking me longer than I thought it would. But it's the last wire right here.
And something we just remembered is we have to weave this wire on the inside of that big pine tree right there. If we'd have remembered, we'd have put the spool of wire on the other side of the tree and pulled it to this end. But we didn't remember. And now, when we pull this wire, we're going to have to take it off its little spool, put it on the other side of the pine, and then hook it back up. That's gonna be fun. Here we go. There's the pine tree. That went much better than we thought. Just went around that tree. Hooked it back up, bada bing, bada boom. That was quick, gotta tell you. We usually say things take longer than we expect, and we expected that to actually take longer, and it was shorter. Yes, back to rolling. The slope of the ground makes him have to adjust the pipe and the chains so it rolls easier. But this method, wow, this method is really working well. We are not going to need much of the last roll. See, that back tree line is in. You see the spool of wire. We're not going to need that much at all of the third spool. Come on. It's just going to need enough of the other spool to be aggravating. So that's where it ended. And right there in that corner is where it ends, that H-brace, the long run. So there's where the fence ended, and that's all that's left. Is the other side of that H-brace right there. So, like I said, just enough fencing off the other roll to be annoying to have to splice. But not that much. So progress is good. We look at this last run. There it is. To come back and stretch it and tack it and then do that other little piece, and this west side will be fenced.
All right, folks, we put up 330 feet of red brand sheep and goat fence and got it largely stapled. We attached 330 more feet of fence and then got it rolled out, and that's where we're going to leave it. We just ran out of time tonight. We would like to have stretched it and at least stood it up, even if we didn't get the final stretch on it. But I think what we're going to do is measure out that last piece. It should be right at 50 feet. And I got, I think, 4 more rolls of this wire. Eventually, we're going to fence the entire perimeter. It's already got T-post on the other 2 sides of the property that don't have new fencing. So we just got to tear down that fencing and put up new sheep and goat fencing for our complete perimeter. But once this is done, this will give us a complete perimeter fence. Although some of it's newer and better than others, it at least would keep cattle and horses in. It won't necessarily keep out coyotes or other people's dogs, but it's getting harder and harder for a dog to come into our property as we seal it off, because the front will be good and this east side will be good. But that's the technique we use. You see that the pipe worked pretty well with the chain, adjusting the chain to the contours of the land so that the wire unrolled in the center of the pipe. That seemed to work out pretty well. And the fence stretcher, although it's hard to get started, that works good. But it's really, really hard to stretch 330 feet, especially over some rolling hills where the bottom of the fence will have more friction than the top of the fence. And we already talked about the H-brace at the end that kind of twisted. So I got an idea how to fix that. So all in all, today was a successful day, but it was not as successful as we would like it to be, because we would have liked the fencing to be up, you know, continuously down this line so that our neighbor could put his horses back over here. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed coming along with us today. Deb, you have anything to add? You were on the other side of the camera. You got to see a different angle. What'd you see from your angle?
No, I think it was as the front fence goes, but better. The pipe worked a lot better than us kicking it down the fence line. The temporary tacking it and pulling it worked really well. I think, like you said, had we had all day, we would have been able to finish, but we got a late start because last night was New Year's Eve. So we stayed up to ring in the new year and then got a late start and then ran into a contractor and then had a conversation with our neighbor. So good time suckers, but still time suckers.
Yeah, they were time grenades for sure.
It was good. I think the progress is good. Even though it's not done, the part that's up looks so good and looks so much better. It's clean looking, it's fresh, and we won't have any problems releasing our dogs out here and worrying about them. So
yeah, the beautiful part is the way we have the fence. All of the trees that grew up in the fence line are on our side, so it'll be up to us to keep that brush down, which we will do that. On the passenger side, our neighbor's side, he can mow right up to the fence. I mean, there is nothing in the way except for that one pine tree we had to go around. And unfortunately, Deb did not catch that on camera because...
I did too.
Oh, you did catch it on camera, us going around the pine?
He didn't trust my angle. Yes, I did. You saw that.
As you were. But so our neighbor really is getting a good end of the deal. One, he didn't have to do any work, but 2, he's going to have a really easy fence line to maintain. And it, like Deb mentioned, it is really pretty. It just kind of changes the feel of the property. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for going along with us today. You got to sit back while we worked, and that's the way we like it. We like to show you what we do out here and how we're transforming this 20 acres. If you would, click that like button, that big thumbs up at the bottom. As you watch our videos, hopefully if you haven't seen them before, you'll go back and watch them. Please click that thumbs up. It really helps our channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. That also helps our channel. But otherwise, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Take care.
Take care, y'all.